Does it say when on your end, Miranda? Oh, here we go. Hey, everyone.
Hold on, it's not on there yet, I don't think.
Oh, okay, it says meeting is now streaming live on Facebook. Are we good?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. So today we want to dive into the depths of Qigong. So if you have practiced Qigong, I would say tune in because you're probably going to gain some more insight because as you know, you're always a student and always a teacher. As far as William Martino is concerned, it's what he teaches me all the time. But everything we're going to dive into, we're just going to have William share with us basically his background. And he has an extensive bio. So what I've done is just pulled the pieces of Qigong out so that you can understand, you know, kind of his background and what he's bringing to the table for us today. But he's an author of 12 books. He's trained Olympic ski teams on mindfulness. He has, so basically we're going to laser focus on his Qigong. I guess when he was 8 years old, sorry, he decided that he wanted to learn from the masters in Chinatown. So he would go visit various Qigong and martial arts teachers there. When he was about 14, and sorry if I mess up any of these names, he started to study Yang Ming's teacherships, and this was the first teacher to transcribe the inner teachings of Qigong into English and the Kung Fu legend. He's worked with many of masters, the Sensing Hands champion, Sam Masosh, I hope, did I say that right? Did I say that right, William? And Ken Cohen. He was the head cook for the Taoist priest and worldwide Qigong leader, Master Chen. He's a champion of Qigong and Tai Chi of the Sending Hands, and he is the author of the book, The Essence of Qi. It was, he's also an international, or was featured, sorry, in an international documentary featuring the greatest Qigong masters. So he's one of the greatest Qigong masters, and we want to just pick his brain today and just dive in a little deeper here. So Danielle, I know you have your first question to lead us all into this.
Hi, yes, William. I just know a little bit about Qigong, and it feels really good to do those little bits, but I was curious about the lineage, the history. Where did it come from? What is it exactly? Can you tell us a little bit more about the history?
Qigong, as an energy development system, has the same root of all of the energy development systems and enlightenment systems in that shamanism starts it all out. You know, the cave people are banging out on the drum and they're looking at the water and they're looking at the fur of a fox, and before you know it, they start imitating them and getting themselves into a profound nourishment with these things. Recorded history about 5,000 years ago, Qigong has its first appearances in Chinese medicine, and the great physician Huang Dao, the Yellow Emperor, he codified the first main principles of Qigong. As you go down in history, you have the bamboo strips about 250 BC, which are unearthed, that show people imitating animals. And a lot of the dances in Qigong are the imitation of animals, a lot of the movements, the origins, certainly. And then as time progresses, elements come and Qigong starts to be included in different sections. As you go to about 500 BC, you have Lao Tzu. And Lao Tzu is the internal power religion of Qigong, Taoism. And Zhuangzi in a similar time frame. And in my book, it's all very, very detailed, but as you go forward in time, you find all the way up to about 500 AD is the next major difference in Qigong. And that's the same person that created Zen and the same person that created Kung Fu. So a lot of the inner internal disciplines of Qigong have origins in yoga, But now around 500 AD, Bodhidharma brings in the stuff from Tibet, the inner energy stuff, which really comes from India anyway, but it's changed a little bit, and codifies it into two manuscripts called the Yi Jin Qing and the Shi Shao Qing. And these two things form the basis of internal energy for Zen and for Kung Fu. And he created Zen and Kung Fu as well, the monk Dhammo, Bodhidharma in Sanskrit. And this was a unique experience in the history of Kung Fu and Zen and Qigong, because it took all of the different energy understandings, yoga and Tibetan Buddhism and everything, and created the most powerful Qigong training, which is the Yi Jin Qing and Shi Shao Qing. Yi Jin Qing is basically work your body and slap your body and stretch out. Shi Shao Qing is then you get that energy and wash the marrow of your bones, wash your brain, and experience embryonic breathing, which is the transcendence, the magic place. So in that whole history, Tai Chi is created, and Bagua and Xingyi and Pakwa. And all of these have the same internal energy basis as Qigong. Also, Chinese medicine has the same basis of Qigong. So you trace it all the way back to about 5,000 years of recorded history, and you'll find the strongest internal principles with Huang Dao. And you go down history and you find these variations applied for scholarship, applied for martial ability, and applied for medicine.
I was told, and I don't know if this is true, maybe you can clarify, but at some point during the history of Qigong that it was basically made illegal, or you had to kind of hide the practice.
Yeah, I think that's up until about 1980, maybe 75. Bill Moyer's production about Qi was really the first Western introduction. I think it was Jimmy Carter that first started the communication with China to change its policies about what Qigong is and whether it's allowed in the United States. And that whole multicultural interface happened in the 70s and 80s with China. Before that, we really didn't know China at all. I think it was, I'm not sure of this date, it's in my book, but maybe it's 1970 to 82 or something, that China outlawed it. It's still basically outlawed in terms of the interdiscipline. There was this one major organization called Falun Dao. Gong. Gong is the word that means training. So Gong Fu means training over time. Qigong means training your Qi, bioenergy on a physical basis, and an ethereal basis, spirit. So in those years of illegal declaration by the Chinese government, Qigong went into hiding, and still the most advanced principles pretty much are in hiding. Qigong was kind of ruined maybe 1890 or something. And the guy I studied with, Yang Jwing-Ming, was one of the first people to resurrect the real teachings of Qigong in the Yi Jin Qing and the Shi Shao Qing, and all the inner disciplines and principles of the Wudang temples. There's two main temples with the Kung Fu, right? Wudang and Shaolin. Shaolin is external power to internal power. Wudang is internal power to external power. But the internal power, just like the woman, overtakes the external power. And that's how you enter the mystery. So the most powerful secret mystery stuff to do with Qigong really comes from the Wudang temple. But during the time of when it was made illegal and they ruined all kinds of the temples, burned them to the ground, a lot of those inner teachings were removed. But now the scriptures, which are guiding principles to help you get to slow down, to slow your roll. The whole idea is, how are you going to be transparent and find out what's going on in your biological biography? So now there's a resurrection, but the real inner principles of Qigong or Tai Chi and these kind of things, it's very difficult because we don't have any context to understand about them. But I hope to translate a little bit for us.
So why would you say, for people listening, maybe that know Qigong or are just starting out or are interested in Qigong, why is Qigong important, especially now during the times and what's happening in the world?
It's such a great system in its principles to do with mind-body healing. A lot of times we can get mind healing without a body, or we can get body healing without a mind, or we can get transcendental cosmic awareness without a mind, without a body. Qigong is great in that if you look at the religious scriptures or the enlightenment paths of the world, there's a lot of different ways to talk about it. Talk about how you're going to get healed, how you're going to become magical, this kind of stuff. And everyone has a negative and a positive, Qigong does too, but sometimes yoga can become too much up here and not enough grounded. Martial arts maybe can become too brutal and physical and dealing with conflict. Mindfulness meditation can just scratch the surface to do with what meditation is. But the systems that are present don't often have a presentation like Qigong when it comes to mind, body, spirit integration. When you study the principles of it and put it into practice in your daily life, it means that you're having embodiment when you're opening and closing a cabinet. It means that you're aware progressively of your bones and how it creates marrow and how your psychology is interrupting the process of being receptive to life. So the principles are very unique in that they are clear principles for how you go to healing your body, what that's all about, healing your mind, what that's all about, which includes your emotion, which of course that's felt in your body as well, to this thing called spirituality or spirit. It's a real, to give you just a concise answer, sorry, it's just a very clear, systematic, simple to understand system of enlightenment.
William, you mentioned embryonic breathing. Can you expand on that a little bit, what that is?
In science, brainwave coherence and hormonal nectar is the bottom line. That's why we all love meeting with each other and having a good time. Because when you have a good interaction with somebody, your brainwaves change, your hormones change, your breathing pattern changes. Everything changes. So we're all searching for this rather than search for it through a donut or an external search. We need to slow down, stop, and reverse the search. Now, being honest, it's very clear that we have a lot of thoughts and we have a lot of things going on in all of our lives. So to get to the place of embryonic breathing is the trick. It's the magic. But if you're honest, you don't get to that hardly ever. You don't get to the place of breathtaking beauty, of the soulgasm, of hormonal supercharging that's not compulsive. Embryonic breathing in Qigong is the same as samadhi in Zen and in yoga. And it means the embodied experience of transcendence. It means that you feel so good in that mouth and that nose and those eyes and those ears and those centers and that biological history of your life. You're so accepting with yourself and everyone and everything, and you have no control over anything. You're a student only. So you drop the defense mechanisms, and in the dropping of the defense mechanisms, life rushes in. And if we can slow down enough and look at the nooks and crannies inside of our bodies and not just put power out here, you're going to find a new level of peace of mind. And peace of mind is the antiseptic that needs to clean out whatever it is that's in process inside of your life experience. Embryonic breathing is the height of Qigong accomplishment, and it results from regulating Kan and Li, Yi and Qi, Yin and Yang, Wuji and Taiji. These are all just funny words that I can explain. Simply put, regulating your systems, being able to use your mind to say, oh, I would like to now reverse my attention and find out what my brain is about. I would like to reverse my attention and find out what my spine is about. I'd like to reverse my attention and find out what my biological biography is. If you have a blessing from three powers is the source of Qigong, starting with the historical document of the Yellow Emperor's Book of Medicine. Three powers is sky, earth, body. If you tell the truth, you don't know the sky's above you. You don't know that the trees are around you, and you don't know the earth's underneath you. I don't. So I have to remind myself that, oh, this sky is trying to talk to me. These trees are trying to talk to me. These people, no matter who they are an immaculate expression of life, and I need to carve out more receptivity so that I can receive them. Why wouldn't I want to receive life? Accept them. And the earth. So it's a process, you know. There's not a definition where we get somewhere to the enlightenment. I don't understand that kind of talk. I was a monk of three traditions, and I have a serious school of hard knocks. I have a lot of experiences in life. And the one thing that I learned as a main principle is that I'm not listening too well. So these principles, like three powers, sky, earth, body, that's the source of Qigong, allows me to move in my daily life in such a way that I can have the sky and the earth and the trees with me, like if I was alone in a scene in nature. And so my fingers and my bones and my hand become healthier. My organs, where all my memories are, and in my brain, they become more transparent. And doing this enough, I find moments that ripple. That's what embryonic breathing is. Embryonic breathing is a moment where your biology is so nourished that you actually have profound stress relief. And this is really important for us.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you for being here, William. And this is Miranda from Unify. And I am Andrea and Danielle and I are here with William because he's our teacher. And I live in the same town as William, and Andrea also met him in Crestone. I learned some of the basics of Qigong back in 2007, I think. But didn't take it for very long. But it even just the small amount of teaching that I learned at that time really helped change my life as far as stress levels and energy that it brought to me, and being able to recenter and using the three powers, as William refers to, and being able to harness sky or heaven and earth and body and align and ignite your whole body, and be able to learn how to recenter and get a bigger perspective when life is stressful, especially. And I'm a mother with 5 children. I do stressful jobs like event production and some of the really high stress stuff in the world. And the practices of this have helped me a lot, but I wanted to really deepen in this and understand it a lot more. And William's study in the world of Qigong and his book goes into such depth in the lineage and the history and the powers, the treasures, all of the pieces, and really helped explain. But the practice is what really, really helps us. And it's every week we meet, and it still is amazing to me how much I need this even more now as you deepen in the mastery of it, than the day I started, 13 years ago. And I still am learning more and more about the parts of myself in the practices that William teaches, that are one of the things you always try to drive home is it has to be simple, it has to be doable, it has to be understandable. It can't be too complicated for the human process, especially in the beginning, to develop it into a habit, or we don't get it. And so the ways that you've helped guide it for me on how we help get it into our human psyche and help turn it into habit. And what are you doing in your car? What are you doing when you're doing dishes? What are you doing when you have these free moments where you could use the 10-second exercise? When are you taking your 5-minute time periods to do this kind of stuff? It really makes a huge difference when we do it and learn it. And it is helping transform my stress levels, my perspective, my healing in myself. You want to go into that more?
Yeah, that's all I want, If I could share a little bit about where you can find a free piece of bread, then I'm happy. Somebody said to me lately, a lot of people get results, and somebody was saying about all the results, and I said to my wife, I said, yeah, if they say it in 20 years, then I'm happy. Not a little bit. 10 seconds and 5 minutes is just a wonderful opportunity for you to feel cared about as an individual. I mean, that's Qigong, that's yoga, that's meditation. You see, we all don't believe that. We believe that we've got to struggle and fight and do this and do that, and we just can't enjoy. And 10 seconds is a doable, repeatable amount of time that you can experience long-term results in Qigong. So you're doing the dishes, like you said. I'm so glad you said these things. Now, what's the principles of Qigong? Maybe Andrea can help me out in terms of sky, body, earth, right? And the sky, body, and earth, now when you're doing the dishes for 10 seconds, you just say 10, and you let the stars in, just like twinkling starlight. I mean, is there times in your life that, in anybody's life that wants to respond, where you can do that 10 thing? See, what I'm struggling with now to explain is that it's got to be like something you do. So I don't know of another way to ask than 10 seconds for now. But Andrea, how have you been including it?
Oh, wow. Definitely doing the dishes, because I don't always enjoy doing the dishes, and it just makes me more mindful of, well, this is not about the dishes. This is about me and where I am and being grounded and how I'm moving energy. That's really, in my head, that's how I am doing dishes now. Or when I'm driving, that 10 seconds of where are my hands and how am I moving and how am I turning the wheel? All of that is where it comes into play for me. And what was a few weekends ago, you did like a deep dive mastermind weekend, and some of the things you taught in that was really helpful, because I was having all this pain in my right shoulder and my neck. And just literally, we did it for 4 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. That's it. Something so simple that I wasn't even expecting that I'd have pain in my shoulder, but 3 hours later, it all subsided and it never came back. So I was like, wow, this is pretty profound. And I'm pretty much new to Qigong. So I'm excited to dive deeper into more of that, because I already felt the relief. So
Sorry,
I guess
I'm moving around.
I guess my next question kind of leads into that, is like, I've already had what I felt like is my spiritual practices. Well, how does Qigong amplify our own spiritual practices?
Well, the problem we're all having as human beings is there's just no grounding. The Qigong is a way that you can get into your body when you're waiting in a line, when you're doing dishes, when you just open the door, when you just sit in the car. That's real Qigong. The training of the forms, that's another deal. Those mountains, see the deer in the middle of the road? Those mountains, that's Qigong. You can see me okay?
Yes.
I forgot, that's a signal. So, if you want a spiritual practice that is grounded in practical, meaning that the discipline or the wonderful experience needs to enter into your relationships with your children and your history, who you are. Qigong is a way, especially if you just do the 10 seconds, you don't have to do everything. The key to developing any skill is small things that you do. Masters of life, they pause in the midst of their daily life and they center themselves. So if you just do 10 seconds, to download and digest the energy and information of your brain into your body, Qigong. And it's going to bring the high experience of the brain from yoga and meditation and all these things into a felt physical experience. Your body is like the temple of life. And the way it's tended to is if somebody kisses you on the forehead and your brain calms down. And then you into the body. The body's the ground wire of the brain. It downloads and digests the energy and information of the brain. So Qigong is a very clear system to be able to take the spiritual epiphanies. Everybody's having spiritual epiphanies. It's my backyard. I just got a bunch of dirt back there for the garden. We own all this all the way back there. It's a way that you can calm this part of your brain and that you can find your feet again. You can find your ground. As children, we all knew that we had this special magic, and we do this spiritual practice of our own version. Everybody has their secret magic self. The difference is the interface. How are you going to bring that so that this becomes coherent and the body feels it, and then you can communicate with people so that your secret world is not separate from your relational world? That thing there, that on the tree, that was given to me by Master Li, who is the Grand Master of Wudang Mountain. Wudang Mountain is the secret place of the real chi power stuff. That's where all the temples are, the ancient temples. And many of them have been restored. And that's a talisman, a Taoist talisman. And he actually gave me that. I put it in plastic and taped it on the tree. Let's practice, okay? Yeah? Okay. Prayer hands. These beads, by the way, are from real monk experiences and such that I had. Thought I put them on for Unify. Prayer hands. And now the sky above. 3 powers, 3 treasures. That's Qigong. The 3 powers pours the 3 treasures. 3 powers, sky, body, earth. 3 treasures, Jing, your root. Qi, your magnetism. Shin, your psychological refinement. Prayer hands. Sky, bow to the sky. Let's see if I can get you some sky in the picture. There we go. Open up to the sky. Now, Tian in Chinese means sky, and that's the primary connection to the top of your head. Now, if you're alone in the scene in nature, you have sky and earth, but when you're talking to somebody, you don't. So you need to say 10 in your mind and practice Qigong when you're opening and closing a cabinet, when you're talking to someone, so you can remember the sky is here. You've got the moisture of the clouds. You've got the boundary layer to the stars. The twinkling stars are out now. That's a feeling. The miracle of Qigong is to have all of these nourishments be integrated with your movement. We're doing a little form now, but really it's how you open and close a cabinet, how you sit down and stand up. You'll bring it in from the sky and touch the head and calm the brain. Inner looking, inner smelling, inner listening, swallow down, bring it down through, soften the chest. The word in Qigong is shung. It means that you're allowing the energy to come down from the head, down the chest. Usually we do chest and head, we want to present ourselves. No, that happens when you're blooming. You're not blooming all the time. So the face is soft and receptive. The chest relaxes so that the energy can come down through the body, through the feet, into the earth. Prayer hands. And now all the trees and all the mountains and all the oceans and all the rivers, these are tangible sensations that you can remember. You can remember the feeling of walking on a beach. When you become more free in your mind, you naturally live with nature, whether you're in a room or not, because your perception's free. The sky is here, the stars are here, the mountains are here. Gather in from the trees and the mountains. Gather into yourself, take to yourself energy. There's plenty around. Calm your head, calm your face, bring it in, down through the heart, soften the chest, like you're receiving a hug, down through the body, this way. This funny little form is just something that you can do to help you have a time and place, maybe in 1 minute's time, that you could remember these nourishments. If I have flowers behind my back and you don't know they're there, they don't help you much. If I put the flowers underneath your nose, you undeniably receive nourishment. Well, right now, the tree's trying to do that to us. We're not paying attention. The tree's trying to do it as well as the sky, as well as the earth, as well as so many life forms, the bird chirping. When you fall in love and become happy, you notice these things. The honeymoon effect of falling in love and becoming happy is not something just for your relationships. It's something for you. Then you can make your relationships better. Prayer hands. Earth underneath you. Now that's gravity. That's self-defense. You need gravity to be able to be safe because it's a prey predator world quite often. Like this. And you open up to the smell of the soil, to the magma, to the teeming life that's underneath there, the metal ball. Being conscious, being clear, it's here with you. So if you do yoga or you do meditation and such, it might be that it's apparently somewhere else because you become so up here in your experience of the spiritual supernatural that you forget that this material body is part of that. It's actually the most precise presentation of the spiritual is your eyes, your mind, your tongue, your body, and all that's relating with these things is your personality and your character. If you feel tremendous support, you can improve who you are and how you live, and you can do it right now. Prayer hands. Now let's bow to the stars above. And you open up to the stars above you. Gather in from the stars. Touch the head, bring down through the body. Now, please just practice your posture and your breathing. See if you can find a moment of natural pause. In precise answer to Daniel's question before, that's what embryonic breathing is. It's the magic moment. If you prep yourself a little bit with a little sky earth and washing the dishes, and maybe you can get to it a little easier. Our quality of life is determined by the moments that we experience. So why not choose to create some magical moments? You could take 10 seconds as a discipline that you'll do forever, as a way that I'm going to connect to the sky now. It's not selfish. My kids are going to benefit. Everybody's going to benefit. Embryonic breathing is the moment where you feel saturated by nourishment, like something wonderful happens. Great news, a beautiful scene in nature. And that moment of no thought, peace, just peace of mind and no breath is the place where brainwave coherence and hormonal nectar happen. So these are some introductory thoughts about the inner teachings of Qigong and how that applies to daily life. I don't know where we're at with time, but I'll just head in now.
We have 22 minutes left.
Okay.
While you're heading in, I'll just say too that, I mean, Andrea mentioned a little bit about, we already had a session a couple weeks ago, and we had a session on Unify as well, about energy and about a lot of William's basic teachings on getting to know yourself and developing your list of what your favorite memories and things are in life, and also what your growing edges are, what your traumas are, what you need healed, what keeps coming back up as cyclical patterns that you've seen throughout your life that are kind of dysfunctional or need work, and mapping out all of that. Because and when you come to William as a student and you say, I want to learn Qigong, he's like, well, you might not be ready. there's a lot of prep first, and do you even know yourself? And the work that he was leading people through a couple weeks ago, which is always still available to get together with William and be a part of those in the future. And this introduction is a lead-in to courses on Qigong, but it has to include all of that as well when you're getting to know yourself and what's in there and what it's going to take to help us go through healing and know about our traumas and know what's in there. And, you know, step one, taking the cover off. Well, none of us even know what's underneath the cover a lot of times, because we're just blasting through life super fast and seeing these things coming up and being like, well, why do I keep, falling into bad relationships? Or why does this keep coming up? Why do I not have control over this? Why do I get so frustrated with myself? Why do I not truly let love in all the way? But we don't actually deal with it. We don't take the time to actually deal with all these things. We just, on the superficial level, see these things affecting our life and maybe don't want that to happen anymore. Or maybe sometimes in parts of our life, we're so asleep that we don't even realize they're still happening. So all of this work is around getting to know us deeply, know ourselves deeply, and then have healing on profound levels, and then have energy and better relationships and all of that.
I'll just piggyback on what Miranda said, because I was definitely one of William's students. When I met him, I was like, oh my gosh, teach me Qigong. It's been calling me for years. I've been in the industry of fitness for a long time. So it was like, oh yes, 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 more embodiment stuff. And he said, you're not ready. And I was like, what? I'm not ready. And I just trusted that. I trusted that he saw something bigger for me. And I'm actually really grateful that I trusted that and what he saw, because I was on full speed ahead go, running my own business and being a mom and being a wife. And I have all these roles to play. And I was just like full speed ahead, trying to, make it in all these different areas. And when he said, you're not ready, it's like, I didn't get it at the time. But then when he started to make me, invite me to really look at what I was taking the cover off of. Like, I didn't even know what I was taking the cover off of. I was like, I have this issue, this issue, this issue. But honestly, under those issues, there was such deep stuff that I don't even have words for it. There was no words that I could say was taking the cover off. It was just feelings that I just didn't understand. And so now I'm grateful that I understand that, because I feel like it will help for me personally, Qigong, just to expedite my process and just more self-mastery. I feel like that's the key, And one thing I also learned from William is like, okay, so what? So what if nothing happens in my head, what I'm projecting for my future? As long as I have my self-mastery, that's all that matters. Because when I leave the body, that's all I got. And that's something he really brought to the forefront for me. And I was like, wow, yeah, that's so profound. It's also a lot of work. But if you're willing to do it, I feel like he's an amazing person to hold your hand through the process.
This whole idea of what we're getting and where we're going, and I'm glad you brought that up. It's a tough thing for us to. What are you learning? What am I learning? What's not resolved? Who are we? Because should we live to 95, that's going to be the bottom line if you want success in life. And if right now you do two things, give yourself unconditional grace. That's what Wuji is. Wuji is the main principle in Qigong that leads you to Qi power and all that. And what does it mean? Nothing. It means spaciousness, timelessness. It means that space, energy is coming and going inside of space. So what I'm getting at is that if you want to do better with your business and you want to do whatever you want to do, that's great. I mean, we all have to do things. Whether I got to paint the deck, there's different things that we're going to have to do today. Make a sandwich for the child. Are all of these things becoming the opportunity to do Qigong? Because if they are, then you are evolving as a soul. Now, in the program, we're going to learn more about the philosophy. We're going to learn more routines, classic Qigong routines, the most classic ones. And we're going to learn how to move energy. We're going to learn a lot of stuff. But all of this needs to be applied to transform energy into spirit. That means that you find the blockage inside your mind and body where you don't feel good enough and you don't feel whatever, and you add grace to it. You add sky and space and love and, okay, I'm not perfect, but let's just paint the deck. You can become more coherent. It's the luck factor in life. And I started that last little talk to address the issue of can you find a way to recognize how silence is important for your mental health? And just take 10 seconds. So things like this. It's very odd to realize that the path advancing appears retreating. We all the time have these growing edges that ask us to slow down, stop, and reverse our search. And what I'm suggesting is that if you do this now, you stretch time now and not strategize with your intellect and with energy and what you need to do and what you're not doing. Just rest, like sleep. That is going to produce the better tomorrow that you're looking for. But you have to trust it. And you just take a breath, you know? A lot of sadness and confusion and whatever might come up, you know? And that's really good. You need to feel held. To think that there's nobody on the planet that's strong enough or wise enough to hold you gracefully and trustworthy fashion, it's not reasonable. That means that there's not one person that can do that on the whole planet. Actually, there's all kinds of people that have been asking to be let into your mind and life. So what I seek to do in my class is to direct you towards what works for you as an individual so that you can say, okay, William for 12.2%, that's about it for him. And then another one like this, and then the tree in the backyard like this, and then the song, and then the secret childhood place like this, so that your cortex can calm down. In every religious tradition, they touch there, they put the ashes there, they put the Tibetan stupa there. Why? Because we either disassociate to meditate or we go into bodily addictions or mental obsessions or emotional attraction and repulsion. We don't do it right here with life. If you feel supported, you can do it right here with life. So that's what I try to deliver in the classes, is a clear understanding of what works for you as an individual and a clear understanding of what your personal growing edge. You don't have to tell me, but it's nice to say, oh, I'm still afraid about this or I have trauma here. Because the dance of support and relief is going to produce embryonic breathing or the moment that ripples. And if you can release your whole life, you know, forget about everything and have a moment that ripples in the next 10 seconds, your whole life's going to get better. So why not just try it, you know?
So I just to, be clear that you can do this Qigong even if you're really busy.
Qigong is your daily life. It's how you move. It's not a bunch of this.
Yeah.
That's just fun. That's just fun.
Yeah, and I bring that up because I've talked to people and they said, I'm just too busy. I can't fit another thing in my day. So what you're saying is it's time to incorporate it into your day, no matter what you're doing, painting, dishes.
Well, I'm very focused on adding more time to your life, giving you more space, giving you energy. Then I go back to what I've got to do. But what I want to share is a way that's going to help you, not tie you into something. You can't do more. I want you to find a way to have more energy and more time. And the only way you can have more energy and more time is to integrate practice with who you are and how you live. So you practice washing the dishes. You practice taking a breath when you're getting in the car. You practice when you're on a trip, noticing the sky. You practice how you stand when you're going to open the cabinet. When you pick up an object, when you shake somebody's hand, when you hug someone. These are the times that you can practice sky, earth, body, symmetry. And little by little, you'll find that shoulder loosening up because you're aware of your shoulder and your movement. Little by little, you'll find that trauma and that fear of relationship loosening up because you're aware of the area in your body when you're talking to people. You become transparent in your physiology, and then life rushes in if you can become transparent. So we just go back and forth, and find a way to do three things. 10s, 5s, customized. 10s is these 10-second things, and that seems to be the main thing that everybody bites on. There's a few things that in teaching in the last 20, 30 years, I hear 10 years later. I'm still doing that. I'm still doing that. The 10s is the one. The breathing thing is another. The my favorites list is another. So there's things that are modeled after how human enlightenment or human healing happens. And that's what my course is about. And this particular package is the Qigong interesting philosophy and ways that you can empower your body. So it's not about adding anything to your life, really. It's about finding these fulcrum points for you as an individual. Everything's customized so that you're going to have more time and more energy and more space. And that's what my offer is, to work together with you, to help listen to you, to understand what is going to work for you, and where is there something that needs some TLC, some outside intervention.
Yeah, so William is offering a group Qigong 7-week course for anybody that's listening. It starts on March, hold on, let me grab the date. March 17th.
May 17th.
Oh, May 17th. Where am I? I'm like in a time warp. Sorry.
Sorry.
Thanks, Miranda.
Just message anybody for
In a
info.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that actually, it's a 7-week course, and like what William said, it's all inclusive. And I know from working with him is a lot of ancient teaching that gets woven in, and basically customizing what's going to work for you and how to use Qigong in your daily life. So 7 weeks. It starts May 17th, and I know 12:30 Eastern Standard Time is when that our class is every week.
About an hour long.
About an hour long. And the investment is he's only asking $280 for the entire 7 weeks. So that's $280 US dollars. I know we get a lot of views from all over the world. So.
And that helps us to help others quite a bit as well.
William, and I know that people were asking how to grab your book. How do they get your book? Is it online?
Which one?
Essence of Chi.
No, they have to message me for that one.
Okay.
There's a few of the books that just I have.
Okay.
That's one of them. Yeah, they just message me. I'll get it to them.
All right.
Awesome. Yeah, yesterday, William and I were talking, and it just like really profoundly struck me, one of the things that you said about spending your entire life trying to figure out how to help there be an integrated process for people to truly receive healing and get to know themselves spiritually and really embrace and embody all of this. And I mean, I experienced that from being your student, but it was just beautiful, the detail that you went into about spending your lifetime trying to figure out how to help us not be dissociating and going into a transcendent state and then ending up getting run over by a train in life if you're doing it that way. Just all of these different examples that were really hitting home for me about why it's needed, this integrating process of, healing our trauma and opening up our pathways and our energy and knowing ourselves. And I honor and thank you for that lifetime of work that you're doing and the customized approach you've had with all three of us and all of your students on truly trying to honor and get into a person's soul and depth and help them to get to know themselves. It's not just one way of do all of this. You truly help us to get to know ourselves. It's the only way that it works is by personally, deeply getting in there and knowing ourselves and healing those traumas and using these tools to open up and have experience embodied bliss and freedom and reducing stress and all of that truly actually does work. So thank you for offering this course to a greater network with Unify. None of us are salespeople. We are bringing this to people because we want actual healing to be available for all of us on the biggest level possible. And William has such a huge heart, and what he offers and what he gives is so much. So thank you all for being here. We have 3 minutes left. If there's anything else you want to say and end with, William.
Maybe Danielle, she didn't talk to us.
Oh yeah, Danielle.
I did. I can't wait for the course. I'm very excited because after working with you for a few months now, I realized that this needs to be in more of a daily practice for me. So I am looking forward to joining you, and I can't wait to see the transformation over those 7 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you all. It's just a very steady thing, kind of like getting wet when you're in fog. Just a little bit, just a little bit, just a little bit. I don't have any grand solution, but just a little bit, and you might get what you've been looking for forever.
Thank you.